Hello everybody, my name is Kyle, and in this update video, I'm going to be walking through some of the new features. The first thing we have is the new messenger menu. We have a couple cool features in here. For starters, this menu is persistent, so if I go ahead and reload, let me open it up, my messages are still going to be there. The next thing we had is the ability to embed YouTube videos, and along with YouTube videos, we can also embed images. Now, I added to both these features because I noticed that when we were playing, players were often tabbing out and going into Discord because we have a channel in there where we plan when we're going to be playing. And I noticed during combat, they would be going in there to post different full soundtracks to like Dark Souls or Skyrim or something to get some nice mood music going. Sometimes they'd be doing like woodland sounds or like a tavern kind of thing with some soft music in the background and just kind of murmured voices. And so I figured I want to keep them in the app as much as possible and not rely on third-party software. Plus, there's all the distractions that come with something like Discord. They can see what their friends are playing or check out their servers or whatever, and it's easy to get lost or distracted. And I want to keep them focused. I want to keep them in the app. If something's happening on the map or I'm messaging them or like pop-up images are appearing, we don't want them off in some other app talking to someone else or looking at other things. We need to keep their focus here. It's a pretty big problem when you're playing on virtual tabletops. It's easy for people to get distracted by social media or whatever else compared to if you're actually sitting at the table with them. It's pretty obvious that they're pulling up their phone and they're sitting there browsing through something instead of paying attention. So in order to try to eliminate distractions, I added the ability to post both of these type of things straight into the messenger in the app and hopefully reduce the amount of distractions. Along with that, we have this new image history. So game masters have the ability to cause pop-up images to appear for the player. So as the game master, if I go to load pop-up image, paste in my URL here, and then this is going to be Irina. If we load our image, we now have our pop-up image. We can expand it if we want and close out of it. And with our image history window here, we can click this again to trigger it. Now this can be really handy when you're doing something like handing out maps to your players. So if I go ahead and load an image, I'm going to paste it in there, not provide a label this time, and can expand it. There's the village map of Barovia, and our player might not care about it at this moment, but later on, when they have to try to remember where they're at in the village and what the layout looks like, they can go back in here, pick the image they want, expand it, and kind of keep track of like, okay, we're at this building here and we need to get up over here to the northwest. So that's a handy little way to keep track of different NPCs, nice photos of different items that they could find, maybe maps, just little things that you want the players to have, but you don't want to have to like tell them to go look up some Google Drive link or a Dropbox link, or you don't want to take away what's happening on the main tabletop, but you still need to show them some information. So that's what this is for. Now, the rest of the changes have to do with the actual tabletop. We've changed up some of the Fog of War stuff. So let's go ahead and load a tabletop image. I'm going to grab this nice little forest road here and paste that in. Now I want to pre-fill my Fog of War. When that's pre-filled, you get the option to do automatic Fog of War. So that's one of the new features. We'll get to Lone Wolf in a second. So with automatic Fog of War, if I go ahead and load this tabletop image, you see my player now has this field of view input. If I bump that up to their 6 is going to be 6 squares, so 30 feet of field of view, that's going to be 6. That's what they can now see. If we go over to their point of view on the tabletop, they have Fog of War and they have their field of view. They can move around within it, and it will readjust based on where they're moving to. This can be really handy, because if I go ahead and stick a creature in there, such as a goblin, I can still see the goblin, but players have no idea it's there until it comes into their field of view. Now, the difference between automatic field of view and then the lone wolf mode is that if I go ahead and spawn an NPC, or if I had another player currently logged into the session, and that NPC's or the player's field of view can see the goblin, the player can still see it. So with this, you get party vision, where you can see your field of view and all the NPCs and all their players' field of view. Along with this, we have dynamic lighting. So if I create a light source here, I can move it wherever I want, update the field of view to it to be quite big. As soon as one of the pawns enters that light source's radius, as you can see, the light source immediately is enabled for those pawns. So if I jump back into the player view, we can see everything that the light source is giving us vision to. But if I move everyone out of the field of view, you can see that the light source is no longer being emitted to either my Game Master view or the player view. And as soon as we go back in, we can see everything again. So we have the ability to spawn dynamic lighting. Now, if we look at what it looks like in Lone Wolf mode, we'll do Automatic Fog of War and Lone Wolf. This is for what I would say are really hardcore people who don't want players to be able to see what other players are doing. So I spawn an NPC here. You'll notice that this time they don't have a field of view because their field of view does not affect the player. The player can even see the NPC or any other player in the Fog of War until they get close enough and they're visible. A player can only see what their field of view allows them to see. If they go to a certain area and there's a light source there, only they get the benefit of that light source. Along with these new automatic Fog of War changes, we have one other change to the Fog of War system. If you like to do manual Fog of War, as I do, you can load up a tabletop. First, I'm going to make sure I hide it, because I would need to do the Fog of War after the fact. I'm going to hide the tabletop, so the players only just see this white screen. I'm going to load an image, and this time I don't want to pre-fill Fog of War. I'll load my image, put my players where I want them, open up the painter menu. I'm going to bump up the brush size, and then I'm going to quickly paint my Fog of War. Bumped up a lot more. Do some quick paints over here. And turn it back down a little bit so I can finish this up. Now, once I'm happy with this, I can go into the tabletop settings and reveal my tabletop or my image to the other players. They'll get the vision again, but they're not going to be able to see through the fog. As my player moves around the map, when they eventually make it into some sort of doorway or enter a room, then manually, what I'll usually do is go to the eraser and either reveal the entire room or reveal just what they can see inside the room, depending if I already have creatures placed in there or not. Along with painting and erasing Fog of War, we also have the highlighter, so we can highlight entire areas. And players have the ability to either highlight or they can erase highlights. This is really useful when you're doing some sort of AEO spell or throwing some sort of item. You can quickly paint what that area effect is going to be and just kind of leave it there so you know that when players step into here, they've just stepped into some sort of sphere of darkness, or now they're walking on fire or something like that. And with that, those are the new features. The advanced Fog of War stuff with the field of view based vision was actually requested by someone who's currently using or at least testing out this app. And so I thank you for your feedback and for the suggestion. If you run into any issues while playing on the app or you have any features you'd like to see added, feel free to contact me through this link down here, and we can discuss what it would look like to possibly build your feature into the app. As always, my name is Kyle, and I'll see you next time.